Hello world, and welcome to an exciting episode of the Little Bit Different podcast with your host Corey Sterling. What's up everyone? I'm very excited to share this episode with you about the Ayahuasca ceremony that I participated in, and I'm sort of dedicating this episode to a little bit about the plant medicine work that is going on in the world and that I firmly believe in after my experience. Before I do, I want to thank our sponsors, Conscious Counsel Legal Services. Really appreciate this law firm supporting us. Conscious Counsel offers heart-leading legal services for health and wellness entrepreneurs. You can check them out on Instagram at Conscious Counsel. Also, I want to say, by recording this podcast, I just want to be clear, I'm not telling anyone to do something or not to do something. I think plant medicine is something that has to find you more than you seek it out. And I'm not condoning the use of these plant medicines. I'm just talking about what my experience was like and what I learned and how beautiful it was and what I want to share from it. And the intention in sharing this is just letting people know sort of what it's like, what happened, and how it's, changed me in such a profoundly positive way. The first question that naturally will come up is, what is ayahuasca? And I'm not a foremost leading expert on the topic, but from the research I did before I participated in the ceremony, there are a tree or two trees or plants that are found only in the Amazon forest. And what is done is there's a ceremony where they take these plants and they cut the bark or the roots of these trees. They boil them in water, they mix them, there's a whole process of how it takes, and then the result is liquids come out of these trees, and it essentially is a reddish sort of liquid, and then there's a ceremony where people drink this liquid in ceremony and with prayer, and it's very powerful. And ayahuasca is often called the mother plant or the mother, because the idea is that this is us connecting with our source, connecting with source energy, meeting source energy. How absolutely nuts is that? It's so cool. So in my experience, I'm gonna talk a little bit about who facilitated it. There was a young gentleman named Peo who came from the Brazilian Amazon. Often ayahuasca will be in the Peruvian Amazon or in the Colombian Amazon or in the Ecuadorian Amazon. I'm not sure exactly all of them, but I know that this tree is found only in the Amazon forest. And Peo came from a particular tribe called the Varinawa people, the people of the sun. And in his family and in his tribe in the Amazon, they've been doing this for centuries. So for hundreds of years, they would cut the root of this particular plant, they would mix it with water, and then they would drink in the ceremony, and they would dance, and they would have all of these experiences. So I felt very lucky that Peo facilitated this experience for me and a group that I was with when I was in Tulum in Mexico, and that his grandfather, Peo's grandfather, is the chief of this particular tribe of the Varinawa people. And so for me, it felt really cool that I got to experience this with someone who, this is his life's work, this is his tribe, this is their life work, this is their purpose and contribution to society, to facilitate these experiences for people and to share these medicines with the West. That's essentially what it is. The ceremony itself, there was a place in Tulum out in the jungle, so maybe 20 minutes outside of Tulum, and it was just basically a wooden hut with wooden floor in the middle of the jungle, and everyone put out mats. And before I go into any of the details about really of what happened with the experience, I just want to give some context and share. So I had been wanting to participate in ayahuasca ceremony for the first time was 2017. I remember in 2017, I was in Vancouver. I had a client who mentioned something. I was like, cool, awesome. And then it ended up being that the shaman missed a flight, so we didn't do it. And then there were numerous, over those 7 years from 2017 to 2024, there were a couple of different times where it looked like it was going to happen, but it didn't actually in fact happen. And that's perfect, because what I can tell you is, having participated through the ceremony, it finds you when it's supposed to, and it's the right experience when it's happening in that moment. And I was never stressed or worried about being able to participate in an ayahuasca ceremony, but I always knew, like, cool, when it's meant to be, it'll be the right time. Fast forward to 2024, I randomly go to Bali after I'm walking on the beach with my friend Sabrina in Brazil, and she's like, oh, she said something about Bali, and it was like, cool, Bali. I want to check that out. I want to go do a yoga teacher training. While I was there, I made a friend named Romy, who lived in Tulum for 3 years and was really involved in the conscious community there. And when I met Romy, and then when I went to Mexico and I knew I was going to stop by Tulum, I sent Romy a message, and she's like, hey, join this group. There's all these awesome people. I joined the group. The first message I saw when I joined the group was a guy named Arye, who's like, hey guys, we're going to be doing ayahuasca ceremony here in Tulum on these dates. I was there. I responded. I sent a couple of messages to him. I was like, hey man, I just want to make sure that I'm comfortable with it. I spoke with some other friends who had done ceremony before, and they were like, ask the facilitator these types of questions. So I asked, I was like, how many people are there? What experience does the guide have? And just the vibe that I got from Arye right from the start, he's like, hey man, we're just having a loving ceremony. It's about love. It's about being together. And I really resonated with everything that he said. And I was like, cool, awesome, I'm in. And then I was in, and I knew that I had about a week out. So it's very common before participating in ceremony for people to do a different diet and change some patterns. So you don't have sex, you don't eat meat, you don't drink alcohol, you don't smoke anything. And I was very, very happy to participate in all of that. Also because there is an element of purification, and it also depends how serious you take ayahuasca ceremony. For me, the way that I looked at it was connecting with source energy, like connecting with the energy that creates worlds. I will say this, it was an interesting experience for me that week leading up, and especially the day before, because I realized that, like, in my life, I don't really take so many things so seriously. Like with food and diet, okay, I'm mindful about what I do. With exercise, I'm very consistent in showing up. With work, I care a lot, but like I don't really take all those things so seriously. But with ayahuasca and preparing for ceremony, this was really the first time where I was like, okay, I'm actually going to take this really, really seriously. And I think what that meant was I really just wanted to get clear on what my intention was. Like I wanted to follow the sort of the cleansing diet beforehand and all of the recommendations. I was watching some videos and YouTube documentaries on ayahuasca to get prepared. Obviously, it was a little bit scary, but what I wanted to do was show up as in the cleanest version of myself as possible, and I also wanted to be really, really clear on my intention. Now, all of this is happening. It's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. Why is it scary? It's scary because you'll hear a lot of stories about ayahuasca and people's experiences that just sound absolutely miserable. Like they're vomiting, they're pooing the whole time. Also, ayahuasca is known as the purge. So the whole idea is that it's a cleansing, detoxifying process where you purge things out of your body. If there's evil spirits or bad energy, you get all of it out by vomiting and pooing a lot. And obviously, like that just doesn't sound fun. Plus, there is also the possibility that, you know, what you meet or the energy that you encounter will be scary or negative. And I totally understand that. And so obviously before going, I'd say scared. Yeah, I would say it was something that definitely scared me to do it, but something that I wanted to do. It also, like, if you think about it, the idea of meeting your source or meeting source energy is like, that is overwhelming. Let's just call it overwhelming. I just want to share that the day before was really, really important in contextualizing my whole experience. And two things happened. One is that I came up with the intention, and my intention was I was participating in ceremony because I wanted to be led to live my life with more love. I wanted to open my heart. I wanted to be a more loving being. I wanted to learn how to love others more. I wanted to learn how to receive love more. And that's what my intention was. Secondly, the night before the ayahuasca ceremony, I went, in the same group that Romy put me in, there was a temazcal ceremony, which is a Mexican sweat lodge. And I went to the sweat lodge ceremony, and I went on a small motorbike. I had no idea where I was going. I don't live in Tulum, but I found out about this event in the group, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, I look on Google Maps. I'm like, sure, I'll go. I go. It's a really, really dodgy road. To get there, I was like, on the highway, cool. I'm on my scooty. I'm cruising. I've got the War on Drugs playing. It's all perfect. I get to the place. It's 7 kilometers in the jungle on bumpy, rocky roads. And I was like, oh, snap. How am I going to get back? Anyways, not my problem now. That's a problem for future Corey, not for current Corey. And so I do the temazcal. I do the sweat lodge ceremony. It was amazing. Afterwards, we went swimming in a cenote. It was amazing. It was like such a dreamy, amazing night. And then I start driving my scooter back. And it's pitch black, super rocky roads, like should only be SUVs. I've got like my little, super gringo touristy scooter. As I start driving, I'm holding onto the brakes the whole time. I'm like on the brakes, going very slowly, back and forth, holding onto the brakes. And then suddenly I wipe out. And I was like, yeah, I was fine. The bike was damaged, all good. But like I scratched my arms, I scratched my legs. All of this is fine. But what I realized afterwards is that if I was going to make it, and it was one of those sort of like scary moments where I was like, there's no one coming to save me, and this is up to me to get through. And I was like, okay, cool. It's not working if I'm just trying to control it and hold on to the brakes. What if I go a bit faster? And so I just learned that when I was on that terrain, if I was just like inching forward and trying to control the whole thing, it wouldn't work. But if I could just let go and just go with it, just like let go, put on the gas, trust that I can do it, then everything worked. Once I did that, it changed completely. I made it home safe. This was the night before. The day of the ceremony was like, I swear, I've never had this feeling before. I felt like an astronaut going out into space. I called so many people in my life. I told them I loved them. I didn't know if I was coming back. I just called my parents. I spoke to my niece, my nephew, all my best friends. I sent messages to coworkers. I was like, hey guys, I love you. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing, really. I think maybe I told 1 or 2 friends. But it was such a cool feeling. Like, I'll never forget, I took a shower in my room before I went to the ceremony. It was like 7 p.m. And I felt like I was getting ready to go to the rocket ship to take off, and I was leaving Earth, and that I would never be the same. And in many ways, the experience was very formative in that sense and felt transformative as well. So I get to the ceremony. They tell us that it's going to start at 8:30 or 9. Of course, I come early. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to be there early. I get there. I set my mat up. Just to be super clear, I didn't know any of these people. There was a lovely fire outside. I spoke with one other girl. There were 16 people in the ceremony in the group. And it was not like, the vibe is not a party, right? Like, if you think about meeting God or meeting Source, it's not like, yeah, let's take shots and go see God. The vibe was not like that. Everyone was like somber, serious, focused. I kept getting clear on my intention. Anyways, I'm sitting on the mat. It's 9, nothing happening. 10, nothing happening. At this point also, like, I've put my phone away, so I don't know what time it is. I'm just like, I'm fully present. I'm there. No one was really sitting on their phone. It was very, very special. It's a great environment. And so I imagine I'm just going to make up the times, but I assume it's like, okay, 10 o'clock, nothing happening. 11 o'clock, nothing happening. I'm sitting on this map, like I'm sitting cross-legged, trying to meditate. My back's hurting. I'm like, what's going on here? Finally, let's say it's 11:30 or 12, and Peo comes out and Arye comes out, and they tell us, they're like, okay, well, welcome to the ceremony, and we're very excited for this and to have you, and this is what you can expect, some sort of housekeeping sort of rules or information, whatever it is. Then they're like, we're going to do the face painting now. And I'm just like, I've been ready to go for 7 days. I've been like waiting for this. Now I'm here. I've been sitting on a mat for 3.5 hours. I'm super bored. They're like, okay, we're going to do the face painting. Everyone who wants to do face painting will go around in the circle. 16 people. I'm like, oh my God. And it like was 10 minutes each person. But it was beautiful. It was like ceremonial, face painting, right? All of it's part of it. And okay, now, and I'm just like, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen, right? There's so much buildup. There's so much lead up. When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? We wait, everyone gets their face painted. Okay, awesome. Now, like, we do some, like, a little bit of songs, a little bit of prayers. And then Peo opens the ceremony. We open the ceremony together. No one speaks. There's no speaking. And they say, okay, we're going to start drinking. We're going to have the first cup. Everyone who it's their first time is going to go first. Then anyone who has had ceremony more than one time, then they'll drink afterwards. And then we'll sit in silence. And then after that, if anyone wants more, we'll do a second cup. Then we'll dance and we'll sing together. Then if anyone wants more, we can do a third cup, and then we'll continue singing with music. So it's like, okay, cool, like it's happening. When Peo is explaining the ceremony and the process for the ceremony, he says to everyone, he's like, look, with the Varinawa people, we have a tradition that we do not lie down. So I would ask everyone to sit up. If you lie down, it means it can call in evil spirits for it can call in evil spirits for other people, and it can call in the evil spirits for you. So we would ask everyone to remain sitting. And, some people came with air mattresses and pillows, like, obviously not their first rodeo. I just showed up with a yoga mat that I took from the place where I was staying. And I was like, okay, cool, got it. I'm not going to lie down. Now, at this point, we begin the ceremony. They distribute the first cup to everyone who'd gone for the first time. I was one of those people. I'm 6'3", 205 pounds. I'm a bigger dude. They gave me the same as a girl who's 5'3", 120 pounds. All good. I'm like, great. And I'm like, oh my God, I took it. Like, now I'm just like, I'm waiting. I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? And I'm sitting up, and now I'm like, I'm super tired because, normally I go to sleep at 9:30, 10. I get up at 6 a.m. I don't know what time it is, but I'm just like tired, and I'm just like so frustrated. And I've been sitting up this whole time, and now I'm like leaning back. I'm like trying to do everything I can not to lie down. The first cup happens. I feel 0. I feel 0.0. I don't feel anything. So we sit. Now it's interesting because I'm sitting there and I'm completely present. The medicine hasn't taken me. And I can hear the people around me. And like I hear some pretty crazy noises, or like grumblings or shakings or this. And I'm like, holy smoke, what is going on? At the same time, I'm tired, I'm cranky, and all I want to do is lie down. But I don't. Then finally, after some time, they say, okay, if anyone feels called and feels aligned with receiving more medicine, we're happy to call you now. So I go, and they said, how do you feel? And I said, I don't feel anything, so I'd prefer more medicine. It's also like, I knew I was coming to Brazil, 3 days later. This was my chance. I'm here. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. That's the sort of person I am with everything, with kite surfing, with whatever, with diet, with quitting alcohol, with quitting weed. Like, if I do something, I want to do all of it. So I said, okay, I didn't feel anything. They give me a bigger portion for the second, and I sit. And now I'm sitting again, and I'm like frustrated. I'm not feeling anything. I'm really, really frustrated. And I remember that I gave myself permission to let go. And I gave myself permission to lie down. And this is like such an important thing for me in my life, where sometimes people will tell you things, and like, I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone, especially to call in negative spirits to the rest of the group. But it was like the moment I lay down, I felt an immense sense of relief. And then the medicine started working through me. And what happened was, as I was lying down and the medicine started coming through me, what I would do is the moment I realized that I was like being taken by the medicine, I would like stop and think. I'd be like, oh my God, like it's happening. It's happening. What's happening? What's going to happen? Like, I think we call this someone who wants to control everything, which to some degree, I like to control as much as my life as possible. I think a lot of human beings are like that. And so like it would start kicking in a little bit, and then I'd be like, oh, like it's happening. What is this? What am I doing? And then I was lying down, and it just in neon lights, I saw my hands on the brake of the motorbike, and just in neon lines, it was flashing, and it just said, let go of the brakes. Let go of the brakes. And in that moment, I surrendered, and I just completely let go. And I was like, cool, it's going to be whatever it is, and I'm just going to go with it. And I gave myself permission to lay down. I really, really tried sitting up. It wasn't working for me. And once I saw that sign of let go of the brakes, then everything really, really started. Wow, now the attempt to explain what the experience was like. So I've had the second portion, and I'm really, really in it. And the only way I can describe what I felt was that I felt complete love. I just felt like there was a wave of the purest, most highly potent love, whatever that is, took over my entire body, and I just began crying. And I was crying, and I was crying, and I was crying, and I was wiping my eyes the whole time because I felt this incredible amount of love. And the sensation I had was that I could feel that source energy was with me, and I felt like I was at the doorstep. Imagine a stairway to heaven, per se, and the stairway goes, all the way up. I felt like I was on the step right before the door to enter heaven, and I just felt this amazing embrace from source energy. And I just felt like I knew that I was love in that moment. And I knew that what it helped show me is that the point of my life is to be love. That I am love, and that it's all I want to do is be love for other people. And the next thing that happened was very, very special for me. And I know that it sounds absolutely insane, but this was my experience. I was lying on my back, feeling absolute bliss, like the most incredible, amazing feeling that I've never had before. And there was a very, very, very thin beam of light that was coming directly from source right into under my left eye, like directly under my left eye. Think of a lead pencil and the lead that we would put in pencils, click pens. I don't know if they still have that. It was like the light was that thin, but it came directly to my left cheekbone, and like suddenly my shoulder blades like pumped up, and I was directly connected with the light from source. And it was insane. It was the craziest feeling of love. And what's so cool is that while it was happening, I was present that it was happening. I was like, oh my God, I'm connected to source energy right now. And I feel this amazing beam of light, of love. And I was like, this is who I am. This is part of me. This love is part of me. This light is part of me, of who I am. It was unbelievable. Then we got up and we danced in a circle and we sang. Then we said, okay, if you feel called to, you can join the circle and we're gonna dance. And it's like the craziest thing also. It was such an amazing experience. What's crazy is Peo and Arie and their respective partners are singing this music with guitars. And what's so crazy is that obviously I've never heard these songs before from the Amazonian tribes. Like I don't know this music, I'm not exposed to it, but I knew every word to the songs. And it was, holy smokes, it was so beautiful and so intense. And we would sing, and what I realized is the job of the facilitator for the experience is to raise the vibration for everyone to be closer to God or to be closer to source. And I didn't vomit, but I almost vomited. And the reason why, like when we were singing, I could see the vibration rise and rise and rise and rise and rise and rise and just rising like right up to source energy. And I almost vomited, like there was an insane pressure between my temples as we were singing. And firstly, I knew all the words to these songs that I'd never heard before. But what I realized is like, you vomit because you're that close to God. I don't know if that makes any sense. I know that there's a movie Arrival where they're like, yeah, there's something with vibration and they're communicating with extraterrestrials, and like sometimes they vomit in the in their little spacesuits. And I was like, I almost vomited, and it would have felt like absolute bliss and joy. It wasn't like a negative heavy vomit. It was just something so beautiful. But the reason why is because I was that close to God. I was like that close. I was right there. So it was amazing. And then we get up and we're dancing in a circle and we're singing these songs and everyone's holding each other and crying and we're holding hands and like everyone's hands are sweaty, but it's just like, I just kept my eyes closed the whole time. I was so connected. I was so dialed in. After that, they said if anyone wants any more medicine, and I was like, I'm feeling good. I'm going for it. Like this, I want more of this amazing, amazing feeling of love. I had my third cup. Then I went to lie down and I just cried. I was pure love. I was really pure love for that entire time. And I cried, and then it was raining and I got up and I just stood in the rain, Shawshank Redemption style, feeling pure love around me. It was absolutely sensational. The really nice feelings and downloads that I got is that the way that I'm spending my life, I'm doing it the right way, trying to share love with other people, trying to operate a business in a particular way, supporting a team, the way that I interact with my friends, the way I am with my family. I saw my niece Maya, like Maya and I had so many, like I just saw Maya and I was crying. And I was like, I love this little girl so much. I have so much love in my heart. My capacity for love is so much. And it was really, really beautiful. And eventually you slowly come out and we do a closing ceremony. They pass an owl feather to the group. Everyone shares their experiences. The experiences varied. Some people didn't feel anything. Some people didn't let go. Some people didn't go with it. Some people are working through some traumas and their experiences were not like mine. I can't speak to anyone else. I don't have anyone else's vibration. And when it was my turn to speak, I shared most of what I've just shared with you. And then we close the circle and it's done. And it was so interesting to chat with some of the other people and understand what their experiences were like. And what I can say is like, not everyone had an enjoyable experience, but I'd say everyone had a positive experience. Like it really is a ceremony that gives you a new perspective on life. And I think the last piece that I would just share has been what integration has been like. Integration in the sense of like, you have this crazy experience where you meet God and pure loving light is shining through your body. And then it's like, you go back and you check your email. You're like, oh, okay, like now life is back to normal. So for me, the mantra that I've developed from this time is I am love, I am light. And sometimes I did some personal writing after ayahuasca. Sometimes I read it to remember how much I am love. But what's so beautiful is I see light in a different way now. As an example, yesterday I was kite surfing at sunset and it was just the same light. Like 2 times it's happened since I've been in Brazil where I'm kiting and it's sunset and I see the same light and I'm like, there it is. It's always there. Source energy is always there with me. So ayahuasca was a really, 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 really profound, beautiful experience. It's without a question in 2024, the most significant thing that I did was participate in ayahuasca ceremony. I want to thank Peo and the Varinawa people for this beautiful plant and this beautiful gift that they share with us. In the show notes, I'm going to include a link if anyone wants to make a donation to these Amazonian communities. If anyone wants information, like if you want Arie's contact, let me know. I can send you his contact on WhatsApp. But ultimately, it was something that I'd always wanted to do. It found me in a way that I never could have organized or made happen. Like it just, when it happened, it did. I made a random choice to a random person who put me in this random thing, and then it all happened. I was scared for the experience, but I was really open to it. What I learned to appreciate is the power of intention. In going, I was so clear on what I wanted to have happen in that experience, and that's exactly what it was. And it just opened my heart tenfold. And I think since then I see how much love I have and how I'm able to manifest that love in so many different ways. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. It's been a real treat for me to share this with you. And whatever you do, stay different. Peace.